Hello, people. Welcome to another edition of Friday Night Knives and a Dose of Drew. And tonight we've got the Night Elements Hummingbird. This is a little fixed blade, almost a neck knife, quite honestly. It comes with a sheath. It actually comes with quite a bit. It comes with the sheath. It comes with a belt clip that is almost as big and as heavy as the thing itself. So you could. It is very similar to the right to the one if you know the Kaiser harpoon. It's basically the same attachment as that with a lot of the same capabilities, so that you can carry this knife in basically any way you see fit. Right, scout carry, otherwise angles, it'll take it. Right, you want to do something funky, this thing can go multiples of ways, and it comes with it along with the awesome little sticker. So you get quite a bit for the money, even though it's not a big fixed blade. Okay, in fact, get the sticker out of here. We'll do a quick, just to give a quick comparison with another fixed blade here. There's the Kaiser harpoon, right? So we're talking, yeah. Along with that, there is a Spyderco Mule. This one's my 15V Mule. So look at that. That is not, quite literally not, a freaking large knife. Okay? It just doesn't have the big knife energy that many others do. So it's, in fact, I'll do a quick couple of standards here. There is the Paramilitary 3. Yeah, it's that much bigger. There's the Para 2, or Para 3 and Paramilitary 2. Right? Definitely not huge. Not huge. You know, and there it is, just a blur. Yeah, and not just any leak, but a random leak. Look, even compared to the leak, it's small, okay? So if you're getting the feel already for this, I think you're starting to understand. This is not a big knife. This is a neck knife. It is something that you can wear in your pocket. There it is next to the bug out, right? So that's, and the Civivi Elementum. Like that is, we'll put the sheath on just so you understand its pocket size. Like its pocket size is barely bigger than, excuse me, the bug out folded. Okay, and just it is barely any bigger than the Paramilitary 2 folded. It is maybe an inch, 3/4 of an inch to an inch larger. That's actually a pretty interesting bit, right? And so, yeah, it does become a very good EDC fixed blade. And, of course, there it is compared to my Wienar. As you can see, my Wienar is much larger, thicker, and it can be put away, right? It has its own thing. While it doesn't come with its own cover, who really wants that anyway? It just tucks right back in, all right? And it's bigger. I just want to point out that my Wienar is bigger. Anyway. All right, let's get some actual other measurements going in here. I'm not going to bring out the tail of the tape. This thing is small. That's what it is. But its weight, 1.59 ounces without the sheath. So under 2 ounces without the sheath. With the sheath, just over 2 ounces. So approximately bug out weight as a pocket fixed blade. So there you go. That's with the sheath. So it can come out and you can unsheath it. It is AUS 10 steel, which is a pretty decent steel, especially for fixed blades. It has decent toughness, has good corrosion resistance, decent enough for there, as well as, pretty good edge retention. It is not the toughest steel in the world, which makes it great for a small blade. It's kitchen knife tough. It makes a decent kitchen knife steel. And it has the classic Jason Knight harpoon recurve. I don't want to call this, his harpoon kukris are very well known. Very unique design. I don't want to call this a kukri, but the recurve harpoon drop point, absolutely, because it's not really a kukri. It's got that belly, which is nice, as well as that little tiny bit of recurve, but it is basically a harpoon recurve, which I think is really cool. It's a nice little bit, and it is, for me, at best, it's a 3-fingered knife. At best, where I have 3 fingers in there, it's really more of a 2.5, where I kind of get up on the beak there. The rest is supported by the pinky, where you can really get, but the thumb ramp is nice, plenty of jimping, really good run up to the harpoon, which allows you to get very good, for something this small, you can get a lot of like power in that kind of movement. For detail work or any other little sort of EDC, the standard EDC stuff, where it is very much a pocket piercer, right? Saran wrap slicer, cardboard carver, and an envelope eviscerator extraordinaire. But I also want to make sure we go back to our regular standard damn nice, because the design, as I was just mentioning, standard Jason Knight harpoon recurve, not the kukri, similar handle style with the nice long curve. It's not only aesthetically nice, it also has very good ergonomic value. So there's that right there. The aesthetics looks cool. Like, that looks cool, okay? That really does. There's something about the harpoon recurve that gives it a very nice, there's a lot of lines. It's a great design. It's iconic and known for a reason. It has pinch grip capabilities where you're using it for little tiny bits. Reverse grip, yeah, barely. It's not really, like, it tucks in and it's going to have support and it's not going anywhere, but it's basically just a tiny little slicer carver. It could do some food prep in a pinch. It'll take care of all of your little EDC needs. And that's really what that's going to do. There's no real mechanics on this, except for, like, the sheath is actually pretty nice. It is fairly easy if you go in to get it kind of stuck. If you don't get it straight, the tip will kind of dig in, but that's okay. It's a pretty small sheath, has a nice thumb ramp to get it out, so it makes it extremely easy to get not only out of the sheath, but then get right into your saber grip, which this thing works very nicely with. Noteworthy points about this: it's an EDC blade from Knight Elements. It's not the cheapest thing in the world, but I believe it's, it's AUS 10. It's a fixed blade. You get a Jason Knight design for relatively cheap, and its intended purpose is an EDC fixed blade, which it actually does very well. The size of it is something that can fit in your pocket, won't take up too much space, isn't that much different than, say, like a paramilitary 2 without the clip. And even though, it is possible to have it work loose in your pocket from the sheath, it actually does a really good job of retention. If you're someone who could use a little tiny fixed blade, this can go in your pocket. You can have, a multi-tool on your thing, and then you can use this for other general EDC fixed blade stuff, or if you just want something light and you prefer a fixed blade. It's not going to do heavy-duty work. It just is. That's not part of its intended purpose. And for something that's an EDC fixed blade in the 60, I think it's the 70-something dollar mark, it's not the best cost to value, but it's one of the few you're going to get that really does what this does. Yeah, its cost to value ratio isn't high, but if this is something you're looking for, there's not a lot of options that are in the same league. Yeah, there's other neck knives. They seem to generally be set up towards something like less EDC and more self-defense style, where it's going to be like a pull dagger. It's going to be like a small lobed double-edged dagger style. This, while it looks cool, yeah, you could use it as self-defense in a pinch. It'll definitely give you something that you can shank. But really, this is an EDC fixed blade. The extra little bit of gather right there means you can get a good start on any cut. The acute tip gives you lots of piercing power with a lot of nice curved belly where you can get in and then make relatively long cuts for such a small blade. Anything on the soft side will be alleviated by the nice swedge that the harpoon provides. And you can really get some almost carving capability in that recurve where you have almost like a draw knife kind of thing where you can really start getting, could carve wood, could do lots of other sort of heavy duty tasks if you need to do it, rope or anything, where this blade can punch a little bit above its weight or size. So if you're in the market for something like this, while the cost to value ratio is not generally high compared to other offerings, if this is something you're looking for, it's a relatively low cost option in a field of very few, which actually brings it up in value for that type of person. Is it that to me? No, I got this because it's a Jason Knight design. I got this because it's a $70-something Jason Knight design and a decent steel, and I get to try it out. And for relatively low cost of entry, I'm able to check out a Jason Knight design and say I own one. That's perfectly fine with me, right? It's perfectly cool to have. And I expected it to be good quality. I wasn't sure what to expect with the size dimensions. I really wasn't. I wasn't sure what to expect with the size dimensions on this. More importantly, it exceeds in every design capability. I didn't expect it to fit my 3 fingers quite as well as it does. I didn't expect it to be as light as it is for what it does. And you could get a lanyard that would go in there pretty easy and give you a wraparound so your finger has something to hold on to. And again, it's a small design. It's a small knife with a design that punches above its weight. If there was a request, give me one that's just a little bit bigger. Seriously, give me one that is a full 4-finger knife. An inch, anything like that, something similar in a slightly larger design that you can pinch, grip, and use. And I would say give it a 3 to 3.5 inch blade instead of the 2-something inch blade that this is. An inch on both sides would be tremendous. It would be another finger. It would be a slightly larger blade. So, much like my first girlfriend said, if there was just a couple more inches, it would be perfect. Oh, but that would be nice. Give us a family that goes, because there's definitely the large size choppers out there that you can get really expensive, but give another EDC sized blade. And if you're going to go that big, you don't need to do the AUS 10. I would go 14C28N, quite honestly. You could do 14C28N in a larger style blade, or 154CM or something like that, where you could go relatively inexpensive. You could do 10V, like I said, they put it in chef knives. It is possible to get it up there, but yeah, I think a 60 to 61 14C28N in a knife that's just a couple inches bigger, half-inch total taller, something like that. Like get me to a just fits 4-fingered 3 to 3.5 inch fixed blade. If there's any way to keep it thin so that you can use, so that it stays light, do that. But otherwise, this is pretty cool. Like how this is a very, very usable pocket EDC fixed blade. Comes with so much stuff. You can turn it into a little belt knife. You can turn it into, sort of a last resort or your first fixed blade pocket knife. Which is really cool and a unique feature. There's not a lot of the neck knives don't have the same EDC functionality, and I usually tend to stay away from them. And while this could be a neck knife, if it needed to be, you could definitely loop a chain through here if you have one. The retention is pretty good. Like it would takes a fair amount of force to get that out. So yeah, it does something unique, which on the cost to value ratio actually gives it a little bump. So it's, the design is a Knight Elements. It's a Jason Knight design for a little tiny knife, and that's pretty cool all unto itself. It fulfills what you would think from a Jason Knight design, both in terms of aesthetics, which is great, as well as just ergonomics, which it actually does pretty good for a little 3-fingered tiny knife. And the mechanics of it really go with the sheath and other stuff. It does that quite well. The noteworthy points, again, it's a Jason Knight design that is incredibly functional as an EDC pocket fixed blade. Like the toughness of a fixed blade and the weight of a bug out with the sheath, you've got a lot of bonus features that can do. That's really cool. Yeah, it's a little smaller and all that, but it is what it is. It's also a fixed blade. So there's that. And its intended purpose as an EDC fixed blade, which to me, that's what this is. That's what I see this as. I don't see this as a self-defense knife. I see this as a pocket fixed blade for EDC purposes, which it seems to do extraordinarily well. It doesn't have the lowest cost, but it does have a high value, especially if this is something you want or need. The value starts going way up there because it's one of the best offerings in this small fixed blade category, neck knife or otherwise, that actually has really, really good EDC capabilities, as well as a design that doesn't look, quite honestly, silly or overly self-defense oriented. So it's got an aesthetic to it. It looks like a knife. It looks pokey, stabby, happy, as well as having nice lines. It's almost got some of the animals with the fishtail, the harpoon. Like, it's got a lot going for it, and I expected it to be good. It is that good, and there's even more little details. I wasn't sure about the 3 fingers, and if you're not and you've seen some, I think just look at how tight those 3 fingers are in there. So just realize this is a small knife. And again, any request, this is so good. Give me one that's more like a 7-incher. I need more length. Okay? Regardless of what my Weenar might say when it goes to do the size comparison, I need more of this. This one's just, it's not too small. It works, but it's right at the edge. Like, this is about as small as I care to try in the fixed blade area. So there you go. Folders is a different story, but in the fixed blade, this is it. Okay. So yeah, but really it is just that good as a little EDC fixed blade. So getting towards maybe a slightly thinner blade stock on a larger knife to keep the weight down and maintain that EDC ability. That might be the only request I have, is to have just a slightly larger version. It might be a little more expensive. That's okay. But if you go with something like 14C, 28N, 154, you can even do AOS 10 again, depending on pricing, so you can keep, the price low for the consumer. Then yeah, that would be the only request. So I'm going to put it at the 88. 89. I'll go one more point for that extra value. As far as like the 1 to 100 scale, definitely want to, it's higher in value for those that want or would like to have this type of knife or a Jason Knight design. The value goes up for some of those things, right? Because now you can have it for a reasonable price that you can budget fairly easily. At least most people hopefully can. If you can't budget that much money fairly easily, what are you doing buying knives? So yeah, that part of it's really good. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. That's been a quick review here of the Knight Elements Hummingbird. A really cool little fixed blade. Has already done tons of work on opening up packages and stuff. This thing really is just, it's fun to have in your pocket and have your little fixed blade. It really is. This one's fun to have, and it does the job in a way that doesn't make you upset about having it. Yeah, it's a little bit small, but it's super easy to suddenly have, use, and get in there, get it done. You put it back in the sheath and slide it back in your pocket. It actually is a fairly convenient pocket fixed blade. Give it all the props. So go ahead, take this video, watch it twice, comment as much as you like, be mindful of side effects. Remember to like and subscribe. This has been your dose of Drew. I am said Drew, and you guys have a great rest of your night.